Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Manny Pacquiao. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, showing your support, tuning into live sessions, the flash lives, tuning into the premieres, the premieres of my videos such as this. Those who tune in real time, I thank you and I appreciate each and every one of you. Those who have been supporting, all y'all, it's just great. The platform is growing. We chop up the sport of boxing. For the new listeners, Manny Pacquiao is simply a platform where we discuss, critique, analyze, and simply talk about the sport of boxing in a level-headed, mature fashion. It's as simple as that. If you love the sport of boxing, this is a place for you, And I want to talk about this, man. Manny Pacquiao sounding off. He's not a happy camper, ladies and gentlemen. Manny Pacquiao is not a happy camper. And I understand, you know what I mean? And they sent a letter, Manny Pacquiao's team. And I want to share that with you. It's coming out, from Michael Benson, if I'm not mistaken. Link in the description. You can check it out. We'll check it out right now. It's just that, just to outline what's going on. And everybody knows what's going on. But, I like to go back just to always set a foundation on what I do and what I talk about, after Pacquiao fought Keith Thurman, everybody knows the story that, COVID hit after that. And he just hasn't fought. I don't take, I made a video about this a long time ago, months ago, I don't remember when it was, but it's on my channel, about what's Pacquiao gonna do next, who's he gonna fight. I don't necessarily take COVID as an excuse for not to fight for fighters, okay? Because as far as the time frame that we're living in this world, in the current era, as far as the whole pandemic in the world, I'm not saying that it doesn't matter if he has COVID, fight. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the COVID, time period that we have been living in for a while, since 2020 of March, approximately, whatever, to date, to now, to 2021, mid 2021, there have been a lot of fights going on. Boxing returned, when it comes to events, when it comes to combat sports, if I'm not mistaken. I think UFC launched the first one, but whatever. Boxing returned at the end of the year 2020, last year. Ever since then, there have been fights, and great fights too. We cannot negate that there haven't been any great fights. I personally think that Pacquiao could have fought in all this time. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a long time. Everybody knows the story. He's gonna fight Spence. Awesome. I love it. This is gonna be a great fight, ladies and gentlemen. Hats off to Pacquiao. I understand it's not it's not as easy as it looks when it comes to making a fight, and I understand that, but I just personally think he should have fought in the meantime. All this time, ever since between the Thurman fight, that's just my point on it. Between the Thurman fight and the Spence fight, he should have fought at least once, But it is what it is. Whatever. And I understand though. I understand concerning this whole thing, right? So he fought Thurman, beat him, had the belt, the WBA super belt. And you know how I am. I don't really follow belts and all that stuff. It's too many. It's too silly, and it's a bunch of nonsense. A lot of it, not all of it though, but a lot of it. As far as how sanctioning bodies roll, why? Real quick, by the same sanctioning body, WBA, they put Andre Berto in the top 10. In the rankings for the WBA welterweight division, out of nowhere, just magic. Sometimes these sanctioning bodies do some weird things. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the reasons why I don't give too much credibility, just generally speaking. When it comes to the multitudes of belts out there, the regulars, the interims, the diamonds, the gold, whatever the heck. It's just a bunch of nonsense to me. A lot of it, franchise. It's just silly. WBA puts Andre Berto in the top 10 in the WBA rankings. You know what I'm saying? And now, as of late, we hear that Ugas and Thurman are probably going to fight. Whoever the heck knows what's going on there. But my point is, Berto, he hasn't fought, I think, in August of this year. 3 years. 3 years, ladies and gentlemen. Who can explain that? And then putting him all of a sudden in the top 10, love Andre Berto. I'm talking about the moves the sanctioning bodies do, not the fighters necessarily. We're talking about the sanctioning bodies. And we can just go on and on with the other sanctioning bodies, but you know what I'm saying? What's the point? My focus is here at WBA. So that's one of the reasons why sometimes, you know, the belts aren't really, I don't really follow them too much. That's just to get my point across concerning that. So, you know, let's get to this complaint. I feel Pacquiao, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is what it is. You know, it says here, grand theft title, Manny Pacquiao blows the whistle on WBA's larceny. Okay. I hope you can see that, but I'm gonna highlight kind of what I'm saying so you can read along. It says here, you know, Hollywood, California, July 12, 2021. Okay, so would you buy a used car? It's kind of type of introduction. Actually, I can't highlight. I tried to, but would you buy a used car from the WBA? Okay, it says in a period of 12 months, and this explains like his trajectory. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to you know, the welterweight division and the WBA trajectory that Pacquiao has in the welterweight division and things of that nature. Okay, so it explains that in the first. It's kind of like an essay. It's interesting. So, you know, talks about all that, and then you go down here. Now, this is where I understand. Okay, this is where I understand before we get into that paragraph. I understand this angle of it. Okay, that this letter expresses complaint by Pacquiao and his team. You know, whoever the heck wrote it, whatever. It's Pacquiao and his team. Okay, so it talks about how he wasn't warned. And I think that's fair, though. I think it's fair for them to complain about this, for Pacquiao and his team to complain about it. And I think it's fair, you know, because it says here, okay, we'll go to the last paragraph. Sorpresa. I don't know why that's in Spanish, but whatever. That means surprise. Okay, so it says on January 29, 2021. Now, this is the thing here. Check it out right here. Without any advance notice or warning, the WBA, sorry about that, announced that it had designated Manny a champion in recess. Okay, we all know that. While promoting regular champion Ugas to welterweight super champion. So I understand that to a certain degree. It says without any advance notice or warning. So out of nowhere, they just said, hey, Manny Pacquiao is a champion in recess. They didn't warn Manny Pacquiao. Now, that's my thing. Had they warned Manny Pacquiao about it, I think he probably would have fought. You know what I'm saying? And then continue to say here, the title Manny won inside the ring without even fighting for that title. So they handed over that, everybody knows the story, the super championship status belt to Ugas, which Manny won inside the ring, and they just handed over to Ugas because Manny wasn't doing anything. You know, I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, you know? And then it continues to say Ugas hasn't fought since winning the WBA regular welterweight title on September 6, 2020. It begs the question, what did Manny receive for the hundreds of thousands of dollars he paid in sanctioning fees to the WBA to sanction his last 3 title fight victories? And then it continues to say, last paragraph, I can tell you what Manny didn't receive. Due process and respect, said Sean Gibbons, president of MP Promotions. So it looks like guys are quoting him. Okay, so it says here, it took 2 years to get the world title belt he earned inside the ring by beating the undefeated super champion Keith Thurman. Manny only received that belt on Saturday. Okay, the WBA never inquired, here we go, about Manny's title defense plans. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? It's like WBA is voicing Manny Pacquiao is voicing, and his team is voicing the complaint that the WBA didn't come to Manny Pacquiao and say, hey man, so what are your plans? What are you gonna do? You've been out of the ring for 1.5 years, ever since you fought Thurman. This has been a long time. What are you gonna do, Manny Pacquiao? Come on now, make some moves. What's going on? And that was my complaint as a fan, you know what I'm saying? A fan of the sport of boxing. Concerning Pacquiao, that's why I pushed that video that I referenced a minute ago. That I was like, Manny Pacquiao, what are you gonna do, man? You've been on that belt. It's been collecting dust for a long time. Defend your title, man. And I understand, you know, and WBA didn't come to Pacquiao and, according to Pacquiao's team, okay? I gotta say that, okay? According to Pacquiao's team, maybe WBA is gonna come out and you know, send an official letter to their team explaining, yeah, we did warn you guys, or something like that. You know how this is. By the time I post this video up, we're gonna probably see something new. But as of what we know now, Pacquiao's team, according to them, they were not noticed, or, you know, WBA didn't approach them and say, hey, Pacquiao, what are you going to do with your defenses? What are your plans? So that's what they're saying there. And I get it. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? It seems quite unfair. So we can continue here reading, okay? So it says here, the WBA, I'm sorry, and it continues to say here about, okay, so the WBA never inquired about Manny's title defense plans, okay? And then it continues to say the WBA never warned us Manny's super championship status could be in jeopardy. You see that? So they're saying Manny Pacquiao and his team, what have you, saying that the WBA never approached them to say, this belt you have, Manny, it can be in jeopardy because you're not doing anything. So that's what Manny Pacquiao's team is saying here. And I understand that. It sounds quite unfair to me. It sounds quite unfair according to Pacquiao's team. Okay, so we'll continue reading. The WBA never informed us that Manny had been designated. It has been designated its champion in recess. Wow. Okay, so the WBA never informed Manny and his team about that he's in recess. It was just out of nowhere. They figured it out on the internet. So we see here, they discovered it. It says here, we had to read the WBA's press release on the internet. So you see, I mean, that's a trip. That's a trip. And it does, according to Manny Pacquiao's team, if this is all true. Why do I say if this is all true? Because you can't even believe nowadays. Sometimes you cannot believe one version of the story nowadays. When it comes to anything, I guess. When it comes to anything. And more for the sport of boxing and all the politics and all the crazy stuff that goes on. You know what I'm saying? So according to Manny Pacquiao's team, man, they were not approached. They were not warned. And it seems quite unfair. It seems quite unfair that Manny Pacquiao's team had to discover all this on the internet. It's unprofessional. It's not formal for the WBA to ride like that or to conduct themselves like that, making such a big decision, behind Manny Pacquiao's back, in other words. That's what Manny Pacquiao's team is pretty much saying in this letter. So let's continue reading. I mean, it's a trip. So it says here, and speaking of Keith Thurman, the WBA had no concern about his lack of activity when he went over 22 months between the title defenses. Okay, so when he fought, Danny Garcia and Jose De Lopez. So Danny Garcia fought him in 2017 and Jose De Lopez in 2 years. I mean, that almost 2 years, 2 months shy of 2 years, 22 months. So I understand that. That sounds quite unfair. You know what I mean? Recess is over, it says here. Okay, so continue to say the two best fighters in the welterweight division are facing each other. Facts. It should be celebrated and properly recognized. And this is true. Look at what it continues to say. The ring is even blessing the winner as its welterweight champion. We all know that, as it's of recent news, that the Ring magazine, that Pacquiao and Spence, they're fighting for the ring belt too. So, they're saying here that the ring is also blessing the winner because it's such a big fight. It's such a great competitive matchup. It continues to say, this is not a sanctioning group. Wow. It is a used car lot. Look what they say. Wow, take my advice. Before paying the WBA a sanction fee, kick the tires and read the warranty. Perhaps their new slogan should be Cavi Emptor, whatever the heck that means. I don't know. Somebody can tell me what that means. Cavi Emptor, whatever. Is that Latin for something? I have no idea. Who knows, right? But okay. So, you know what I mean? I understand it. I understand both sides, we're going to wait to see. I'm sure that, or I'm assuming at least WBA is going to respond to this, but it seems quite unfair. But then again, it's a double-edged sword because Pacquiao hasn't fought in so long and hasn't peeped a word to anybody in the public from what I remember after he fought Thurman. I mean, he should have done something at least, I don't know. These are kind of the consequences, and this just goes to shadiness of what boxing is when it comes to politics, when it comes to the sanction bodies. It's sad. I think it's horrible, but we don't know, or maybe we do, but I'm not sure we know the other side to the story. And I think to a certain degree, Pacquiao deserves some of the blame here. Maybe not all of the blame, but some of it. Come on now. We're all adults here, and Pacquiao's an adult champ, a legend. I think he should have known better. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. I think Pacquiao should have known better than to just sit by and just wait it out for so long. However, the way that Pacquiao's team explains it's true though. How they permitted Thurman to stay out of the ring so long, but then again, maybe Thurman, this is the thing here. Maybe Thurman, we got to hear the whole side of all these things, because they're mentioning Thurman in the mix. They're pointing fingers to Thurman saying, hey, you guys gave favoritism or whatever you want to call it, right, towards Thurman, but not Pacquiao. It can be, though, that Thurman justified his absence for so long. You see what I'm saying? And Pacquiao maybe is recently, as of late, justifying his lack of activity in the ring because of COVID and the global pandemic, and because, you know, but you can't really excuse that too much. You know why? Because, at least in my opinion, I mean, you can say, I mean, have a differing opinion, that's fine, but at least in my opinion, you can't really excuse that, his lack of activity, because of the pandemic in the world, because there have been many fights going down since the end of 2020. Big fights. No, not Spence versus Bud. No, I mean, of course we know that didn't happen, but I'm not talking about that kind of big fight potential stuff. I'm talking about there have been some great fights, man, since the end of 2020 and to now, as of late. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's possible. I'm not saying, you know, but it's possible that Keith Thurman notified the WBA about it. And maybe Pacquiao hasn't said anything. He just, you know, he just disappeared. And, you know, I think that Pacquiao deserves some of the blame here, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to say. All due respect to the champ, this is no smoke, you know, this is no, whatever you want to call it, no slight on him or whatever. I mean, he's a freaking legend, man. That has nothing to do with, you know, when it comes to being accountable for your actions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that I'm not trying to, you know, so people who try to misinterpret what I say, I mean, most of the community, you know, understands this platform. And I just think some of the blame should fall on Pacquiao, man. You're a responsible man. You're a responsible man that knows the sport of boxing and knows to a certain degree the ins and outs of the sport of boxing. Well, to a big degree, because he's been in the sport for so long, man. He's been in the sport for so long. You know, and you should know the kinds of tricks that the sanctioning bodies pull sometimes. I mean, for crying out loud, look what happened to Porter when he was supposedly #1 contender, mandatory, whatever you want to call it, for Bud Crawford. Magically 4th or 5th or whatever, they just switched him around. You know what I mean? So I think some of the blame here falls on Pacquiao, man. I think however way you slice it, it's too bad, man. You got to suck up to your consequences now. You know what I'm saying? However, I think it's great that he's stepping up to the plate to Spence. You know, but the focal point of this video is a WBA issue. So I don't think that, you know, I mean, you complain, I get it, but yeah, a lot of it falls on him. A lot of it falls back to him. You should have fought between Thurman and now, man. That's my point. Pacquiao should have fought somebody between Thurman and Spence. Defend the belt once, or who's #1 in WBA? I have no idea. I didn't check it. So, but, you know, he should have fought someone or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, I wish the best for Pacquiao. We'll see what's going to happen with this whole Ugas thing, if he's going to be the WBA super. You know what? By the time I post this video, like I say constantly, or be on fight week. On fight week, man, we'll probably see WBA flip the script and say, hey, no, Pacquiao's the real champ. He's the real super WBA. He's the super WBA champ, welterweight champ now. We gave him his belt back. Or we gave him the belt back. You know, it's like you never know with these sanctioning bodies, but I just wanted to share this with you, and that's my input. That's my input on it. You know what I'm saying? I made a video some time ago talking about, you know, his inactivity, how I was not happy with seeing Manny Pacquiao so inactive. He has so many things in his plate, man, in his personal life and his professional life. I mean, you know, I understand, man, you're inactive, but you gotta show up and be active in the sport of boxing. But, you know, it is what it is. Hats off to the legend, man, and that's just my input on it. So what do you think about this, man? Renee Box Young, thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, showing your support, man, tuning into lives. I do flash lives. For those who don't know, flash lives, that means that I go live out of nowhere. Just spontaneously, boom, when I have nice windows of time, or a decent window of time, at least around an hour approximately. So go ahead and hit the notification bell, man. Get the likes, hit the like button, and subscribe if there are any new listeners. Renee Box Young is simply a platform that simply discusses, critiques, and analyzes the sport of boxing in a level-headed fashion. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you love the sport of boxing, this is the place for you. Stay safe, family. Peace out. Renee Box Young.